Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at ABL3, a 303 emulation which I use a lot. This is actually quite an old tutorial which I made at the start of the Syntho journey, so excuse the presentation but the message is still the same and it's something I use loads now. In my latest EP on You and Me, the EP entitled Technical Itch, I use this in all of the tracks I think. So the presentation may be a bit cleaner and better quality now. However, the message is still the same, and I love this plugin. It sounds amazing. They've got an amazing internal sequencer. You can send MIDI to it. I'll let the video do the talking, but this is worth watching no matter what kind of vibes you're into. So let's get into it. Good morning, Syntho. You may not listen to this in the morning. However, I am recording it on a nice, fresh Saturday morning because this is the day the builders aren't at my house. It's the only day where there is no noise. I've turned the webcam on today. I've actually gone for my normal webcam. Usually I film with my phone, so the quality's dead good. But when you do that, you've got to set the phone up on the tripod and all that, and it doesn't sometimes connect. And I thought it'd be better to give you some visualization. I've had a fresh trim. I said don't cut too much off, and he whipped a load off. So a bit gutted with that, but it's always the case with barbers. Today's video is going to be on ABL3. I wouldn't say I am an expert in acid programming. However, with the ABL3, I know my way around it well. And with the whole Syntho thing, I want everything to be able to be applied to making a banger. So I'm going to show you really how I use it in the style of music that I make, which I'm guessing most of you are interested in making. So yeah, I've got a loop here as usual. Let me just turn the open hat off so it's not so prominent. There we go. So ABL3, bit of information about ABL3. It is a 303 clone. 303 was actually first made to replace the guitarist in a band. That didn't go down very well. Didn't get bought for a few years and ended up revolutionizing house music really with the acid house era. You can fact check that, but I'm pretty sure it's true. The whole acid house era began. So people like a guy called Gerald from Manchester, first person ever saw it Sankey's, so it's worth going to check him out if you don't already. Then Maurice Fulton, people like that. And I think acid's really evolved over the years. I think a lot of people, when you say to them acid, they think of like some proper mad stuff, when really you can make it sound really nice. I think in recent times people like cab drivers have used it really nicely. Then specifically ABL3, Arch Hamilton really, what's the word, carved his signature sound by using ABL3, yeah, that actual plugin. I spoke to Ben Rao about this plugin, he got me using it. But yeah, it's a cool one. So when we open it up, you'll see it looks like a 303. Grey, you'll be familiar with this site, I'm sure. I will start from the left. So top left is two different waveforms. So you can see square, saw. Then we've got tuning. So we're best off getting a pattern in. So you can click load pattern. And then you get these pattern presets. Not many people know this, but you can load a pattern up and then press play. You'll all be like, oh my god, sounds like a full track already. And it does. So, if we look at the controls inside ABL3, we've got tuning. So tuning is to do with the pitch. So if we tune something down, it's going to go down, tune it up, it's going to go up. But essentially, you see that number there, where it says semitones. Semitones, we want it to be at 0 really, because then any note we play is going to correspond with the pitch, and it will be in tune. So if we I would recommend leave the tuning, don't touch the tuning. So cut off. This is the cut off on a filter. So the higher the cut off, the more frequency is going to come out. So, cut off, open and closing. Resonance is the point in which a filter is boosted. So I'm going to show you an auto filter. It's visually easy to see. So this is the cutoff. So if I can get them both up, will that work? Yeah. So if we look at the cutoff, that is this thing here, frequency, yeah? Then the resonance is the point in which the frequency filter is boosted. So if we turn the resonance up there, the point goes higher. So if you can imagine 100% on that, that's the same as going 100% on here. So if we have the resonance higher, it's really pushing and squeezing that sound. So it gives that kind of harsh hiss. Bring the resonance down, goes smoother. And then next, the envelope will just move the filter. So lower the envelope, lower the filter. Then it opens it up again. So it's always worth experimenting with these three things to get the sweet spot. I think I've mentioned this before. I always make sure it's right with the bass. Any one-on-one lesson I do, and it's to do with the bass, I will always check, can we get the bass a bit sweeter? Just small adjustments to the resonance and cut off an envelope can really change the bass and make them sound killer. So decay, just making the note shorter. It's not too obvious with acid, because the notes are short anyway. So yeah, it's not as harsh when you bring the cutoff down. So accent is when the notes go up and have an accent. It's almost just is what it sounds, like an accent going up. The note hits harder. I'm not sure the exact explanation for an accent, but I know what it is audibly when you hear that note go up. But I want to explain it better when we look at the pattern. So once we're happy with this, I want to move on to the next bit. So you see this bit says pattern. Let's move that to this view in the front, the classic mode, is how you would have programmed a 303 back in the day. But I would advise staying away from that. Let me just show you my Behringer 303. Hopefully the camera's big enough, but that corresponds with here. Hopefully you can see this because I can't actually monitor myself. But I can tell you for free that programming acid like that is a ball ache. So if you don't want to spend 3 years learning how to program acid, I would recommend changing classic to pattern, right? And now this makes much more sense. If you've not watched the Alex Kidd sequencer video, I'd recommend going back to that now, because he briefly explains a sequencer. So if we look at this, step 1 to 16. So every time we have a colour on the gate, it's going to make a noise at each step. So look. So there's nothing there now. So if we put a gate up, I'm just going to turn all these off. So yeah, using them presets is a really good way to get a start point. But I think if we go for a blank slate now. So if now we're happy, wherever the gate, we colour in the gate, that is where a note's going to hit. So, kind of self-explanatory with the pitch. Whichever the note is, it's going to play a C3. So say you're working in a C minor scale, then these are all in the right scale. So you do need to remember to make sure that your programming of acid stays in scale with the rest of the track. I think it's something people can trip up on sometimes. So yeah, we can change that to obviously lower the note. It's the pitch, yeah? But that sounds pretty crap, so let's go lower. Let's just go for this part for now. So next is down. Down is basically just playing the note an octave down. So it's almost just going from C4 to C3. A sharp 3 to A sharp 2. So we can go whiz past that. And you can guess what up's going to do. Makes it an octave higher. So let's next look at the accent. So now you know what I mean, it's hitting the note's hitting harder. I'm not sure it's velocity, I think it is the velocity. And it just makes it more like doing, like proper acid, how you envision it when you're a kid. If you ever envisioned acid as a kid, that is. Pretty raw tackle in it. I think it is velocity. So slide. One of the best functions on the 303 is the slide. So it makes the note slide. One thing I always encourage with music production and part of the synth thing is I want things just to make sense to you. I'm explaining how things make sense to me. A lot of the time, if you try and overcomplicate things like explaining how a note slides, it's just going to go over someone's head. It would go over my head. So yeah, the slide is just the note slides. So say you want to make the sequence longer, this number 16 here, we put that to a 32. Yeah, then you can slide across the bottom here, 32. We're not going to do a sequence 32 bars today, there is no need. That's the only fault with ABL3 is you can't duplicate the loop onto the second half. So you'd have to go back and draw them all in. And yeah, as you can imagine, it's a fucking ball ache. See, it's going to have a 32 there. Change the wave. I want to see how the square though. So next I want to talk about different ways you can process acid. So you can either do acid lower and then make it more of a bass line. So you got that. Yeah. So if you do notes lower for acid, you need a bass line. But one thing I'd say is acid doesn't carry so much punch with the sub. So a lot of the time you may have to layer a sub underneath it. So I don't tend to use ever acid as a normal, just like that as my main bass. I'll use it laid on top. So a classic is just adding some delay. And if you've watched my template video, you'll know how my templates are set up. And if you've not, go and watch it. So Galaxy Tape Echo, let's go for one of these. One thing I like to do sometimes is use the actual auto filter and do the LFO trick, like on the stab tutorial. Intergalactic. power of delays. Listen to how much better it sounds with the delay. Absolute brain melter. Reverb. And this is how you start getting creative, by doing this mad shit. So let's just solo it. I love that. I've never even tried that kind of super harsh LFO. Imagine that in a breakdown. So we can try some distortion. Actually, I always like to use a bit of EQ on it first. So make the decision here. Is it going to be a bass line? Or is it going to be kind of like a mid-range thing? So if it's mid-range, maybe go to 150. Then we can try some distortion. So overdrive at Ableton. Underpants gear. Turn the dry wet down. Just give it some juice there. As you know by now, I don't really like my stuff too clean. So overdrive is perfect for me. Then some saturator. Warm up the lows. Let's just A and B them. Group that. It's nice and soft there. Actually sounds really good. I've got a bass line here, let's try that with it. Sounds cool. Get the bass back off. So now the ABL3, yeah. So just try some delay on it, man. There's any kind of delay. So it's almost like the stab processing again. Yeah. So there's almost anything you can do, but you could also just have it as like a few, not really like a catchy thing. Just go. Just as like a filler. So when you get a sound, always think about the different kind of ways you can use it. Could we use it as a melody? Just as like a little one-hit fill? A lot of the time, just one note. I think I've already got an acid note in this track. Yeah, you see that's just a one note? They can use it anyway, really. As a lead or as a filler. Or a bass. So one chap with ABL3. Let's go back to. Here's the bit where you record it. So you create an audio track, insert audio track, audio from, then go to ABL3, hit the button here, and then hit that. You can automate it. Always record quite nice long sections. Movement is important. So some other thoughts to suggest here are, imagine using hardware. Everyone wants to be sound out using hardware. You record sections in longer parts because you're recording from hardware. So if you start doing this resampling thing, it can work really good. Because now we've got this kind of sound which is moving every time. Then we could put this autofilter on that channel. Then we can turn our ABL3 off. See, that's really cool. It's just going bonkers. So yeah, that's how you can program the ABL3. I'm just going to show you briefly how you can change it to, so you can send MIDI to it. But I think when you send MIDI to it, it doesn't sound as good because you can't do all these accents and slides. So you click here, then you get the drop-down menu and click sync mode. And that changes to MIDI trigger. And then change MIDI mode to note. Then we can send MIDI to it. So... yeah, then the possibilities are endless. It's the same as doing a bass line or anything. And if you want to change it back, you just hit MIDI mode again, the MIDI trigger. It goes back to that. So that is my video on ABL3. I know I've been promising that for a while, but I did the arrangement one first. I thought the arrangement tutorial would be more helpful as people asked me about that. And yeah, any questions, as always, let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the visuals as well. So guys, thank you very much for watching that. If you want to see some full track breakdowns or other videos that go in more depth into my full production process, be sure to check out Syntho. We've now got an app so you can watch on mobile and web. All the information is on our website. The links will be in the description. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you very soon.